We move on now to some Formula One news, and Lando Norris led Oscar Piastri to a McLaren 1-2 ahead of Max Verstappen in an action-packed qualifying session at the Hungarian Grand Prix earlier today. And to talk about this and other Formula One related matters, we have roped in two Formula One analysts who've been watching this roller coaster of a season with a hawk eye. Nontuli Moalusi and Lufefe Mayekiso are here. Welcome to Sports Live, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Motorsport analyst and founder of Motorsport.
That's right.
What is Motorsport, firstly?
Motorsport is Africa's leading Formula One fan channel. Okay. We create content around all things F1 from an African perspective.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, I've got a question for you later on, but let's start in Hungary. What did you make of qualifying? So much drama today.
Well, it's always interesting when it rains. So I didn't expect rain, I'm not going to lie. I did expect McLaren to be strong, but to lock out the front row, I am low-key surprised. But I think it's about time that they get there because they've been showing good form the last 2 months.
Is that how you like it, Nontuli, when there's drama, there's rain, there are crashes, the red flag keeps being waved?
Yeah, we definitely like it. I think one of the shocking ones for me was Sergio Perez. Yeah. I'm like, why are you crashing again? Yeah. You know, it's so costly to crash a car like, you know, there's Red Bull. But I think it makes Red Bull really weak for the Grand Prix because also Max was not doing so well and McLaren really pulled the stop. So I think it's been very interesting to see that.
Okay, and you mentioned Sergio Perez. There's been a little bit of talk about his future now. Do you think his future is hanging in the air after the season that he's had so far?
I think it is hanging by the thread. I mean, after he signed his contract for extension, I think he's been lagging behind this whole time. So if the team doesn't give him, I don't know, a warning, a last look, we are done with you, it would be really shocking. But I think we'll see how he bounces off from this because it's been going down since he signed his contract. Yeah. You would expect better performance, you know, from a Red Bull. You know, he's been second from Max, but since then it's been going down.
Okay, interesting. Talking about Max, we expected him to dominate again. I mean, he's still leading the driver standings, but like you've mentioned, it's closer than what many people would have expected this season. Has it surprised you, the season that we've seen so far?
Yeah, I think we're all surprised as F1 fans with what we've seen because after the first 6 races, I think everyone thought we'd see another 2023 where Max won 19 out of the 22 races with Sergio Perez winning the other 2 and Carlos Sainz winning the last one. But things have taken an unexpected turn, a very welcome one because this is the best format of Formula One.
Okay, he starts third on the grid tomorrow. We've heard that Hungary, the Hungaroring, is a bit like Monaco. It's hard to overtake. Do you expect him to launch a challenge tomorrow? Or
yes,
is it for the McLarens to lose?
Well, it is McLaren's to lose, but it's been McLaren's to lose for quite a number of races now. You think about Austria, you think about Silverstone. They just don't seem to have the experience to see out a victory in high-pressure situations because as much as they have an advantage at the minute, it's only slight, and the other teams are very close behind. And if you look at their pit stop strategy in the last race, both in the first and second stint, they got it wrong. And that's why they didn't win that race with either one of the cars.
Are you giving Lewis Hamilton a chance tomorrow, Nontuli? We know how well he does in Hungary. He's won 8 times there. Seems like it's one of his favorite tracks.
I am. I really do expect him to go P1. I think one of the interesting things about...
He loves.
One of the great,
I like the confidence. I like the confidence.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about the Hungarian Grand Prix is in the last 4 seasons, everyone who started on pole position hasn't actually won the race. So it would be interesting to see Lando break that. So if he does, that would be interesting still. So I would be happy. But I think first prize for me would be Lewis winning.
He's going out with a bang, Lewis joining Ferrari next year. But it looks like his move could have a ripple effect here on drivers moving around. What else are you hearing as far as, besides Sergio Perez that we've spoken about, who else is likely to move?
Well, of course, everyone's wondering where Carlos Sainz Jr. is going to next. So I think the reason he hasn't made an announcement yet is because he wants to see all the other moves. We did see that Kevin Magnussen is leaving Haas. Hulkenberg has been confirmed with Sauber. Logan Sargent is also leaving Williams. So there's a lot of musical chairs with the Formula One driver seats at the minute. It's very difficult to say where science will go, but this is my prediction and I want it on record. I think Max is going to Mercedes.
Whoa! That's a big prediction.
Yes. And then science to replace him at Red Bull.
Oh, geez. How would Max look like in a Mercedes?
I think it would be really amazing. I think it also gets to test whether it was Max or the car, right? Because people are like, well, if you put Max in any car, he will perform. It would be very interesting to see how he performs with Mercedes. But also then that speaks to what happens to George Russell. You know, there's been talks where he could be the lead driver, but Toto Wolff was, you know, a bit shady about you know, confirming that. But if Max then goes to Mercedes, that means Max then becomes the lead driver for Mercedes. So what then happens with George Russell?
Yeah,
will he follow team orders or will he abide?
Yeah, but has he done enough this season to prove that he could be a team leader, George Russell?
This season or since he arrived at Merck?
Since you want to go back there, has he shown you enough?
Well, in the first season, he finished ahead of Sir Lewis Hamilton in the championship standings for the drivers. So I think that gave him a false sense of security. And everyone was propping him up as the next big thing. Last season, I feel like Lewis put him in his place with a 75-point advantage at the end of the season. At the beginning of the season, George has had the upper hand. But as you can see now, as the season's progressing, slowly but surely, Lewis is clawing his way back. He's only 1 point behind him. George was out in Q1 today. So things are not necessarily going his way at the moment. And we want to see how he can recover from that psychologically because, you know, I mean, sports, it's a lot in your head.
Yeah.
And for me, George is a very good driver, but I don't think that he's got the composure to handle high-pressure situations. If you look at his last lap crashes, he's had 2 or 3 of them in a very good position. So he's got a bit to learn, you know, in terms of refining his experience and learning to be more calm in those situations. If he can do that, then possibly he could have a bright future.
And Lewis Nontuli is a perfect fit for Ferrari. I've seen all the F1 fans are not loyal. Like they're just moving with Lewis next season to Ferrari.
I think he is an amazing fit. It also speaks to his long-term dream to drive for Ferrari. I think also because Senna was, you know, wanted to drive for Ferrari, never got to. So Lewis, as you know, his role model, you know, I think it would work best. But also Ferrari's got a really good car. They're also very supportive of what Lewis wants to do with his career and going forward, Mission 44, what he wants to do. Also just pushing his mission to bring back F1 in Africa. I think he's the perfect fit. And everyone is a Ferrari fan.
Yeah, jeez, look at that big smile. But let's talk also about the F1 Academy and empowering women also. What do you make of the kind of work that's being done led by Susie Wolff?
I think it's really amazing, especially because Susie Wolff herself, you know, was a racing practice driver. So it brings inclusion to the sports, diversity as well. So I think it'll, you know, make more of the noise to say women need to be included into motorsports, right? And I just think the ladies have been doing really well so far in just, you know, pushing themselves, but also they're driving in F4 cars, which would help them get to F1 level, right? And that's what we would like to see, because I believe F1 is gender inclusive, but we don't have women within F1. So F1 Academy would be the drive to see that in the long term.
Would also like to see an F1 race here in South Africa, Lufefe. Hey, what's it gonna take?
Well, I have it on good authority that plans are still being put in place to bring it here. What year is it now? Maybe 2027? Yeah. I think with the political situation, just needed to settle down because government will play a huge role in bringing F1 here, as they are a key investor or stakeholder rather in any country that hosts the F1. Of course, here it's privately owned, so that's a bit of a different dynamic, but there's definitely a will and an action plan in place, in motion as we speak.
Okay, hopefully it happens before Lewis Hamilton retires, eh? But thank you to Nontuli Moalusi and Lufefe, founder of Motorsport ZA. Check out the channel. You said you've got a channel?
Yes, got a MotoZa_TV
Okay,
across
great.
all digital platforms.